Today we're going to solve a physics problem. So Tarzan of mass 100 kilograms is holding on to one end of an ideal vane that is infinitely strong, completely flexible, but has zero mass, and the vane runs horizontally to the edge of a cliff and then vertically to where Jing of mass 50 kilograms is hanging on, above a river filled with angry crocodiles. A sudden sleet storm has removed all friction. Assuming that Tarzan hangs on, what is his acceleration towards the cliff edge? So the first step to solving any kind of problem is to make sure you understand the question, and then identify all the given values that is stated in the problem. In this case, the mass of both Tarzan and Jing, mass 1 and 2 respectively, are given to you. You also know that there is no friction and that Tarzan, mass 1, is accelerating horizontally. The second step is to figure out what the question is asking you to find. In this case, you're looking for the acceleration of Tarzan as he goes towards the cliff edge. Now it's time to analyze the situation. Let's start with the two separate masses, mass 1, Tarzan first. We know that mass 1 is not accelerating vertically. The force of normal equals the force of gravity. Since there is no force of friction, the only force acting on m1 is the force of tension, and therefore m1 accelerates in the direction of the force of tension. According to this free body diagram, we can set up an equation for m1. T equals m1 times acceleration. Now let's look at m2. There are only two forces acting on m2, and they are both in the vertical plane. Remember your sign conventions. Let's make downwards positive. The net force acting on m2 is equal to the force of gravity minus the force of tension. Now you have a second equation. Here, it's important to remember that the force of tension acting on both Tarzan and Jing is equal. This is because they are both hanging on to the same string. Since the force of tension acting on both masses is equal, we can substitute equation 1 into equation 2. Now, all we have to do is set up the equation to solve for acceleration. We already have all of the values that the equations are asking for, so just go ahead and plug them in. From our calculations, we know that acceleration is 3.27 meters per second squared. That means Tarzan is accelerating horizontally towards the cliff edge at 3.27 meters per second squared. Guess both him and Jing is going to be fed to the crocodiles tonight.